Welcome to MTG Ectoplasm, your home for spirits and spirit decks in the world of Magic the Gathering. On this episode, guess who we have in the house, ladies and gentlemen? An individual who's a friend of the show who ended up playing in a Modern Challenge, came in 18th place, and we're going to discuss Modern Horizons 2. We're going to talk a little bit about the deck, and we're going to talk about where, Spirit stands, and who knows, maybe a little bit more. Do I got you excited? Do I got you titillated? I hope so. So let's get this thing started, shall we? Let's go. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me on this episode. I'm your host, Dwight, aka D Blanco, a medium that wears an extra large. You can reach out to me on Twitter at MTG Ectoplasm. Please follow. Also, mtgectoplasm@gmail.com. That's where you can get to me directly. That's my email. Hey, I'll write you back. And also mtgectoplasm.com, where you can see my short yet extensive spirit content library. I promise it will not put you to sleep, and no, it doesn't use the Dewey Decimal System. Then, let me just tell you, wherever you are listening to this podcast, do me a favor, there's that like button, that follow or subscribe. You can subscribe, trust me, there's no money being charged, but please subscribe. Do that for me, because the 1,000 plus of you listening around the world are making this your number one listen to spirit content on the planet, maybe in the universe. All right, so we got aliens and everything shooting around. So what, ladies and gentlemen, thank you. Hit that like, follow, and subscribe button. So, ladies and gentlemen, before I bring on my wonderful guest, I got to bring up an LGS. Just opened up in Hoboken, New Jersey, and it's Magnolia Gaming. Okay, in Hoboken, 79 Hudson Street, Suite 103, Double L. Okay, you can find them at Facebook at Magnolia Gaming Hoboken, or you can check out their website, magnoliagaming.com. Now, Mike is there. He's working. He's working there Monday through Friday. He's busting his ass over there. Just go over there. Tell him, hey, you know what? That guy, MTG Ectoplasm, he told me to go over there and check you out. He'll appreciate it. And remember, ladies and gentlemen, during this time of COVID, and the fact that everything is, slowly weaning down, please support your LGSs. They would gladly appreciate it. And I'm one of the few who love my local gaming store. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, it's now time. It is now time to bring the friend to the show, the one, the only, the incomparable. Let me open the door for him. Oh, well, obviously this door ain't working. It's locked. Let me see if I can open it now. There he is, the one, the only, DrKatz. How you doing, DrKatz?
Pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you. You're coming up a little garbled now. I don't know what happened, but we were great before, but okay.
I am. Let me see. Is it better now or no?
Much better, much better.
Okay, all right.
So how you doing, DrKatz? How you been? How you been feeling?
Pretty good overall. It's a nice Sunday here in New York. It's sunny. It's 70s, not too hot.
Yeah, over
Can't
here.
Complain.
But here in Jersey, it was about the same, but muggy, and I'm not too far from the Jersey Shore, as they say.
Absolutely.
So I
ran out of league later, feeling good. Yeah.
There you go. I haven't had you on the show in a quick minute. It's been almost like several months now, but you know what? I told you, I reached out to you. It's like, listen, Modern Horizons 2 is coming out, and I think it's a moral imperative that I have one of the main people that are part of the Discord group on the show. And here you are, because the fact that, not just because you got into 18th place, because you're a good guy, I like you, but I wanted you to share with us about that.
Absolutely. Be happy to.
All right. So what is your, let's begin with, what is your overall thoughts of Modern Horizons 2?
So overall, I think it was a really fantastic set. Personally, I like it more than Modern Horizons 1, even though arguably Spirit's got some better tools from Modern Horizons 1 with Force Negation, Unsettled Mariner. I just think Modern Horizons 2 injected some fuel into archetypes that were struggling. Like Merfolk got a few new cards. Affinity is seeing some play. Hardened Scales made first place in one of the challenges last week, I think it was.
Living End.
Yep, Living End, yep, with the Shardless Agent. And then even Azura's Control got some pretty strong new cards, which, like, on one hand, I'm happy to see because, like, Azura's Control is struggling. It was mostly Esper Control, but it's a little unfortunate because some of their cards are good against us. So,
Right.
and we have a good matchup against Control, but we still do. But they have more ways to fight with us, I guess I could say.
The one that actually surprised me was Ad Nauseam. I was like, really? Ad Nauseam's
Oh
back?
yeah, I forgot about that. It's because they got that new tutor card.
Yes, Profane Tutor.
Yeah, and if people were like, "Oh, Ad Nauseam's dead," once Simian Spirit guy got banned, but no, it's seeing a real comeback.
Yeah, shame on all of you out there that like poo-pooed that.
I know, and deserted the deck.
Exactly. It's me personally. I think this is the best. Let me just tell you, this is one of the sets that I can't believe. I'm stupefied that came out, and the fact that I'm doing a worst of the worst 5, and it was really hard for me to come up with the worst 5. It was really difficult. Now, for me as a Spirit player, I love the tribe. As I explained on my last episode, to me it was like Christmas morning. Everybody got all the wonderful gifts, and I got socks in the door.
Yeah, I know.
It's like, oh, come on.
It was that way for us, yeah.
But you know what? We have to, look to the people in need. I hate to say it, like
exactly.
I feel like I'm high on the hog over here. Like, yeah, I'm driving a Tesla. I'm having this, and that. It's like, yeah, things are great. And like, what do you mean you're giving to them? No, give to me. No, I shouldn't be that way.
Yeah, I know. We get jealous. Like, well, it's funny because prior to Modern Horizons 2, I want to say I was looking at the meta share. Spirits saw more play than humans, more play than goblins, more play than Merfolk. Like, Merfolk was really struggling. It was like barely saw any play, and now, I was checking it out yesterday. In the past week, Merfolk and humans are right up near the top, and it's like, all right, good for you guys. Like Innistrad's around the corner. Enjoy your time in the shine. Your time to shine. Like the ghosts are coming back. So.
Well, what I found interesting is that Spirits itself got to a point where it was like below 1%. And I was like, no, guys. We're the best tribe here. We have Dr. Quella kicking ass, doing Bant and Azorius. There is no excuse why we should be like hiding. No. These are ghosts. We're up from front. We're here to, shake some chains and go, boo, get out of here.
Absolutely.
So so far I love the meta. Well, before we get into the meta, it's just I think tribal. It's a great thing for tribal. We're not seeing the plague guy, the
plague engineer. Yeah,
plague engineer. We're not seeing that bad boy as much as we were before. I think this is a wonderful time. Now, let me ask you, which card stood out to you right now, and which cards do you think will make the biggest impact in the format in Modern?
Sure. Well, the best cards, in my opinion, like kind of off the bat, like when the set was being spoiled and everyone was looking at it, it was like, all right, it was Grief and Solitude people were really excited about, and they were thinking like, oh, the Ephemerate shenanigans with Grief, like you can exile a black card, play it, and then Ephemerate it, and then force Thoughtseize your opponent twice, and then do it again on the next turn, and that's strong. Actually got beat up by a deck like that yesterday when I was running out of League, but the problem with that is the deck needs to have like a good closer or a good finisher. Otherwise, you discard your opponent's cards, you put them into top deck mode, then it's like you just have a 3-2. And that's good, but it wasn't like as powerful as people thought. Maybe that'll change in time, but one interesting card that people were looking at and were like, yeah, it looks pretty good, but it's seeing a lot of play now is Ursa Saga.
Yep, that's everywhere.
Ursa Saga. Yep.
Everywhere.
Enchantment Land, yeah, it's the one that makes a colorless mana. On turn 2, you can tap it, pay 2, and make a construct. It's equal power and toughness equal to the number of artifacts you control, and then turn 3, you sacrifice that, and you can search for any artifact that's 0 or 1 mana, just put it onto the field. So that's a strong card. Very strong card. If there's anything that is in the discussion for bans, it's probably that.
I agree. I 100%
Because you
agree.
get so much value off the land. In fact, I lost my chance to go into top 8 against that card because I was facing Hammer Time, and they had like a pretty wide board. They had Ursa Saga, they had Constructs, they had like something equipped to the hammer, and I played Shacklegeist, and I was like, I think I got this game. You know, I'm just going to tap down all their creatures, stall a little bit, play a Lord, attack. Like, Shacklegeist is a house against that deck. So turn 3, they sack Ursa Saga, and I'm like, all right. And then they just put Pithing Needle into play, and I had Chalice on 1. So I was like, wait, like, how are they able to do that? But they didn't cast Pithing Needle. They just put it on the field. Then they named Shacklegeist, so I couldn't use his ability anymore.
Oh, that
so
sucks.
I was like, oh god, that's bad.
That's awful.
No more tapping. Now I have to deal with their guys, and I can't block those things.
Well, there's a part of me that was like, maybe we could use this in Spirits, and I'm like, you know, maybe we can get the what the hell is this? The Chalice of the Void, maybe the Aether Vial, but then realistically, I'm like, I'm pulling on strings here. There's no way Spirits can use it.
I mean, you could have Vial, Chalice, and have that card, and then you have these 3/3 constructs. But like, I look at it like the day that tribal decks like Spirits, Humans, Merfolk start playing it because we play other Vial, I think that's like, all right, this card's too strong. Like, if we're playing it, like, something's wrong. Like, we shouldn't be playing this card. You know, like, it's not made for us. It's made for these artifact heavy decks.
Well, we could, you know, there's the one card that I'm a big fan of is the Esper Sentinel. And we could put that in our deck, and we can fetch it. We can fetch it with the Ursa Saga. Just throwing it out there. If any brewers out there want to brew, and take that idea with the Esper Sentinel and the Ursa Saga in in the white blue, I'd say go with the white blue build.
Yeah.
Humbly try it, please. Let me know how it works.
Absolutely. The other cards I think were really good. Shardless Agent, which we kind of briefly mentioned.
I expect that one to be banned too. I expect that one 100% to be banned.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, we'll see. I kind of hope it doesn't get banned because it's a cool card, but I could see how it maybe could. It's definitely good for living. And then the last card, which I'm not going to try pronouncing, is Esmo, the Esmeralda. Esmeralda. Whatever.
Should I bring my wife out here so she can pronounce it for us? Because she she did our last 10 the other night, and she actually pronounces very well. Esmeralda, Mardika, Kadisti, Nakulidakar.
Oh, God.
Yeah, God bless me. Yeah, I have a hard time doing the shout-out section and then pronouncing our fellow Japanese players, and I'm trying to pronounce this. Get out of here. No.
I know. I think it's funny. I think the story behind that card was Mark Rosewater was putting out cards and his cat walked over the keyboard or something like that.
Really?
Yeah, something. That's what I heard. Yeah, and then he's like, "Oh, let's make it a card."
No, the story. What I heard is there's a guy out there on YouTube. He calls himself the Magic Historian. I don't know if you ever seen this guy. He's from Canada. A very, very comical young man. I call him young, even though we're probably the same age. And according to him, there is an alpha card with this person's name on it. And they had to sign an agreement with the demon to be their chef. And she went to the underworld to work several years, for 7 years. And that if she satisfied his hunger, that she would release him. So before she would go, she would create a cookbook to leave for the demon so other demons could cook for him.
Oh.
So that's the alleged story. That's what the Magic Historian said. I'm sticking with what he said.
That's funny. Yeah, that's a very odd story. Yeah, I knew she had something to do with like demons or hell, just the art and the kind of flavor she has looks kind of strange.
She's badass.
She is.
So you were talking about her specifically. You said you've seen her in decks currently?
She's in a few decks. There's a deck that people have kind of cutely named Food Gak, which is you use her Underworld Cookbook, you make a bunch of food tokens. And there's a card that was in Throne of Eldraine, Feasting Troll King. If you sacrifice 3 foods, you bring it back from the graveyard, and it's a 7/6 trample. And you can do that turn 2. So it's kind of like you play her, or you discard like a Street Wraith or something. You play her, you get Underworld Cookbook, you make a bunch of foods, you get this back. So it's kind of like Hogak in a sense because it's a turn 2 7/6 trampler, which admittedly is scary. I think the biggest problem with that deck is it's a little bit inconsistent, but it does seem powerful. That's another deck that people were like, "Whoa, this deck's really good," kind of like a dredge type of deck.
Right. No, it's kind of funny you bring up the Feasting Troll. I ended up getting 3 of those in the pre-release for Throne Eldraine, and I'm like, I'm never going to use these things. These are absolute trash. Now it's like, okay, fine, I'm trading these bad boys in.
I know, they'll probably, if this deck becomes popular, I can see them going up in price.
I hope so. Please, Lord, let this be good, but let Spirits be able to kick its ass. That's all I ask. Humbly ask.
Absolutely.
Now,
100%.
I don't know if you've seen Andre Segura, the Spirit Master, friend of the show. He actually did an episode on Asmorano. That's what I'm going to call her, Asmorano.
Okay.
Because I'm not going to butcher her name all over again.
I
But
know.
he did an episode on Asmorano. So if you're listening to the show, please check out Andre Segura, the Spirit Master's YouTube. You'll see an episode on this. You're not going to be disappointed. Great episode about how ridiculous this card is.
Very powerful.
Now, was there anything else that you saw in the format, or you were just like, that's it?
Those are the big ones. I think those are the standouts. Another one I think is interesting is Territorial Cavu, which is a red-green, it's a 2-mana creature, and its power and toughness are equal to the number of basic lands you control. So the strategy with this card is turn 1, you fetch a Triome, so like one of the mountain islands / swamps, and turn 2, you just play a shock land, play it, boom, 5/5, turn 2. So
wow, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah, it's playing a deck now that's similar. It's called Domain because they use all 5 colors. But it's also like a zoo deck, so they play that. They play what else? Oh, Scion of Dragon, Scion of Ursa.
Sign of Draco.
Sign of Draco. Okay, yeah, and that's like a 4/4, 12 mana, but it costs less. I think for each basic land you control.
This costs 2 less to cast for each basic land type among lands you control.
Yes. So with 5 lands, that's a 2-mana 4/4. So you can just play this. So basically, you play these creatures, and it's like here's a 5/5, here's a 4/4, and then like I was facing a deck that had Scourge in that. So like here's a Scourge, and I was thinking, oh man, this deck's gonna be hard for Spirits. They're gonna beat me up. But actually, I was able to crush them pretty handily with a combination of Apparition, some of their threats, and then the Shackle guys start tapping their stuff, play a few Lords, we get even bigger than them, which is a good feeling, and then they just conceded the game, so.
Very nice.
It's a very aggressive deck, though. Definitely something to look out for.
Now, let me ask you, is there any sleepers? Any sleeper cards that, we as the, I guess not only Spirit community, but the modern community go, we got to keep an eye out on this bad boy.
I think there are, yeah. I was looking at the questions because I kind of reviewed them before the podcast, and I thought about this a lot. One card I really think is a sleeper is Thrasta, the dinosaur. I'm
sorry, I'm laughing. Yeah, I almost put this on the worst list because nobody's using it.
No one's playing it.
But I know how powerful this card is. It's like, allegedly, I forget the people who probably tested this, you can, now maybe win by turn 2 or 3 with this card.
Yes. Yep.
And absolutely. I'm trying to figure out how to do it, but I'm sitting here like, nobody's playing this card. It's stupid good.
It's very good. That's what it is. Thrasta Tempest Roar. So, the thing that makes this card so powerful, I think, is it's 12 mana, which you're never going to pay, obviously. But it's 3 less for each other spell you cast. So if you cast 2 mana Morphos, you can play this thing for 6 mana. If you cast 2 mana Morphos and a Lava Dart, alright, now it's going to be down to 3 mana. And if you can kind of play this on the right type of deck, like a Storm thing, enters the battlefield, has haste 7/7, hexproof the turn it comes down, so just chunk you for 10. You can't interact with it, you can't path it, you can't tap it. I think once they find a deck for this, like it's going to be really good. Like it can be put into elves if you're playing Harris Druid and going wide with elves, playing a bunch of elves, and you drop this thing as a finisher. It can be played in some type of storm deck, maybe Gruul Prowess, some type of green-red prowess. I think the spell hasn't been found yet, but I think this card's very powerful. I think it will see play at some point.
I 100% agree with you. That's to me that's definition of a sleeper right there. All day.
Absolutely. 100%.
The one I think people are sleeping on is the Murktide Regent. It's the blue dragon.
Oh, yes, that's a good one too.
Nobody's talking about this card. It's like maybe $2, $2.50. I'm like, I'm about to beg the wife, like, listen, can I have some like change, some $10?
Yeah. This card is interesting. It's the flyer that has Delve, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. So
it's Tombstalker or Tombwalker or something like that, but in blue.
Yeah, it's similar. Yep. And people are like, oh, Tombstalker didn't see play. This thing's not good. But like, I was watching another content creator, Doomwake, play an Is It Delver deck, and he played this card in it, and it looked very, very good. He would just exile like 3 or 4 spells, like turn 2 or turn 3, 2 mana, 7/7 flyer. Like, very strong. I think this card will see play. It might see playing Grixis Shadow. I think it's a matter of time before people kind of figure out how to work this card too. There's actually one more you made me just think of that I think people are kind of sleeping on too that I think is very good. And my brother plays this. It's called Dragon's Rage Channeler.
Yes, the uncommon. Oh, everybody's talking about this card. You can't find this anywhere. It's like, unfortunately, I went to eBay, and unfortunately, I had to pay like $2.50 per, which is stupid, but holy crap. Holy crap.
Yeah, it's like a red Delver. It's like a 1/1.
Yes.
And my brother plays Rakdos Shadow. And he just took out all the Bomat couriers he had, put in this card, and did phenomenal. And 4-1 yesterday in a league. This card is extremely powerful. Like, you get to scry with Surveil every turn if you're casting instants or sorceries or any non-creatures. Like, it's pretty easy to turn on, too. You can play a Bauble, you can play a Thoughtseize, you can Fatal Push something, you know. It's very strong. I think this card will eventually see a decent amount of play as, like, just a really powerful one-drop in Modern.
Well, currently it's in the Boros, the one...
Prowess?
Yes, maybe? Yes. Because it's with the Lumimancer. It's 100.
Yes.
So I mean, like, are you kidding me? It's got this, got the Lumimancer, it's got all these other cards. Oh my God, the Boros just got better.
I know, absolutely. It's a good card. I think that card, like, just the fact that it fixes your draws, it's relatively easy to turn on. It's a 3/3. It has evasion. Very strong.
Okay.
I think, that's mostly it. I mean, the other card I would think about, but I don't know how slept on, is Thought Monitor. It's an affinity card.
I hear a lot of affinity players talking about it.
It's a 7 mana card. It's 6 generic and 1 blue. It's a 2/2 flyer, and when it enters the battlefield, you draw 2 cards. Mm-hmm. But it has affinity for artifacts. So if you have 7 artifacts out, which is not that hard to do with affinity, you play a 1 mana 2/2 flyer, draw 2. You can equip it with cranial plating and hit someone for like 9 or 10 in the air. I think that card's going to see a lot of potential too.
Well, if Watsy's paying attention and listening to the show, can we get something like this, but with, affinity for spirits? just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying.
However many spirits you have out, it's cheaper, and then you play it.
That's cool. Between, just saying, Gavin Varhey, if you're listening, Rosewater, just throwing it out, humbly throwing it out there.
There you go. Draw 2.
Better than drawing 1. That's all I'll say about that. Like, the other sleeper card that I saw that nobody's talking about, that I have to say, also a friend of the show, he's my personal mentor, Nikachu, MTG, the Merfolk Master, Prismatic Ending. Oh my God, this card is amazing.
Oh God, amazing. Yeah, I have a love-hate relationship with that card.
Well, you played against this card?
I did, yeah.
Oh, please tell me about it, please.
So I was playing Bant Spirits against Azorius Control, and normally really good matchup. Spirits beats up on Control, so like you turn 1 Vial, They can't really do anything about it. You know, you turn one hierarch, it's like, are you going to path to exile my hierarch? I don't care. You know, I get a land from that. That's the point of the card. So I play a vial, I pass to them, they shock, and I'm like, huh, maybe they're opting. Prismatic Ending my vial. It's gone.
Oh.
Don't get anything from it. You don't get a land. You don't get to draw. Nothing. Just gone. I'm like, okay, well, vial's gone. Let's play Hierarch then. I was gonna vial it in, but whatever. Play Hierarch. Prismatic Ending it. Gone.
Oh.
Don't get a land. Nothing. I'm just like, damn. You know, like, I guess I have to play fair. No mana ramp for me. I mean, I end up being able to win, but like that's what I was talking about. I think Azorius Control got some new tools that are good against us because that card, just a flat out exile. And the other card they got was Solitude, which like they'll be tapped out, and you're like, all right, they don't have any removal. Like they're tapped out. Nope, they got Solitude. They still have removal they can play.
Yeah,
it's free.
According to what I heard from the people that were designing this, basically it was an instant to begin with, and because it was too powerful, they had to put it at sorcery speed.
Thank God. You know, I mean, that's all I can say.
Really?
Wow. It's funny because, yeah, it was an instant, and they said it was hands down the best removal spell in all of Modern, like, bar none, not even a comparison. On one hand, I would love that because I'd probably play it in Spirits, and it'd be like a better path to exile in a lot of cases, especially against Prowess. Just exile the creatures, and they get nothing.
I was going to ask you about that, and I think that's the next question. I really think I was going to ask you is, what cards do you see that will benefit Spirits, and which version of Spirits do you think will help? Like, will it help? Like, what cards do you think that you see that's going to help out Azorius or Bant or Mono Blue Snow?
Sure. So there's a few cards I was interested in when the set came out. Prismatic Ending we just talked about. I think that would probably fit best in Azorius Shell, but actually it might even be better in Bant because the way Prismatic Ending works is when you cast it with more than one color, you can exile something with more than one mana. So if you cast it with 2 colors, exile 2 mana permanent. If it's 3 colors, 3 mana. So Bant could conceivably, you know, pay 3 colors and exile, like, I don't know, a Teferi Time Raveler or another 3 mana threat, or end up against Prowess, they just use one of their mana to exile something. I think it could see playing Azorius too, so I think that's a card that has potential.
I just wish that
overpath.
I just wish personally that they would allow us to use colorless as part of that. Just
I know.
Throwing that out there. Just
yep, it'd be easier. It'd be easier for us, but that would also be scary for other decks too. And then other than that, I would say Suspend is an interesting one. Suspend is a card I just got so tired of giving my opponents lands with Path to Exile. I wanted to test Suspend, and I haven't got around to testing it yet, but that would definitely be great in a Mono Blue Spirit Shell, because they don't have access to Path to Exile. Could see playing Azorius. Maybe. It's kind of like if you can exile something like a Stormwing after it comes down, then you have 2 turns to attack the Prowess player with flyers, and hopefully you can kill them before the Stormwing comes back, but it's scary because the creature comes back with haste. So it's like if you exile like a Death Shadow or a Scourge of the Sky Cleaves, and you're like, all right, it won't be back for a couple turns. Then when it comes back, it's like, here it is, attacking you now. So it's a medium on that card. I want to test it. I think it has potential. I think I saw Merfolk playing it in a couple of their lists, recent 5.0s and leagues. But I don't know if it'll be good enough for us compared to Path.
Now, if you're listening to the show and you're practicing with this card, remember, you may want to play this on your opponent's turn. So you have 2 free turns to...
Yeah. So the way it works is the opponent's upkeep. So if you exile at any time after their upkeep on their turn, the creature doesn't come back their next turn, but the following turn of theirs.
Okay. There you go.
So yeah, you want to play it on your opponent's turn, or else like you're not getting the full benefit. It can save your own creatures too, you know, which is not irrelevant if you don't mind them come back later. The issue with that is like, I was watching Nikachu play Merfolk, and he was like, this card's actually pretty good. I'm saving my Merfolk, but like with Spirits, I don't really want to exile my Queller and give them their card back and then bring them back later when timing's wrong.
Well, I was thinking you could do that with, what the hell is this, Teferi Time Raveler?
That's true.
Put them on the board, then next to know you're using that, and all of a sudden it's like, Oh, no, it does nothing, sir. Good day.
Yeah, you don't get your card back. Yeah, people were talking about that. Yeah, for control potentially.
And just think about that with Skyclave Apparition. Do the same thing. Oh, it comes back 2 turns later. Oh, I'll get this bad boy now.
Yeah, that's true. There are some synergies there, absolutely. Other cards, I'd say Sanctifier and Vec is a decent sideboard card. That is the 2-mana 2/2 that exiles all black and red cards from your opponent's graveyard, and then has protection for black and red as well. So,
Now,
excellent card against Dredge.
what's Dr. Queller was using this in his sideboard, and you were telling me, DrKatz, that you were using this on your sideboard as well.
I was, yeah. In the challenge, I had 2 of them, and unfortunately, I didn't run into any matchups so they were relevant because I didn't face Dredge. I didn't face like Rakdos, mid-range Rakdos Shadow. I faced Living End, but the issue with Living End is it hits some of their stuff, like Street Wraith and Desert Ceradon, whatever the card is, but like there are other creatures.
Hello, Dr. you there?
But I think I would rather just force negation the Living End itself or play Chalice and 0 so they can't play it.
Okay.
But it was a decent card, yeah. In the right meta, I think that card will definitely be a good card to have in our toolbox.
Okay.
And other than that, I would say, and I haven't got around to testing these 2, but Subtlety and Solitude.
I'm waiting for somebody to play this. I think Andre Segura today is going to actually...
He's excited about it. Yeah, he put 4 Subtlety in Azorius Spirits.
Yeah, allegedly he's doing a stream today, Sunday, which is June 13th. He's actually allegedly going to be doing a stream playing with Subtlety. And what's this other card? The one you talked about, Suspend.
Solitude? Oh, Suspend.
He was going to do both of those in that deck. I'm
curious to see how that pans out. Yeah, I mean, I don't like the idea of card disadvantage, like pitching one of my spirits to Subtlety, but you can cast it. You know, I think it's 4 mana, so if you flash it in, it's 3/3 flyer, and then you put the opponent's Titan on top or their Planeswalker or something. That's pretty good. I think it has potential.
The way I look at this card, to me, it's when I first saw it, in my play group, I poo-pooed the hell out of this card because I was like, "Are you kidding me? You put it in the library? Well, they can tutor it." And I'm like, realistically, how many times are people in games truly tutoring for stuff that you've already played? It's very rare.
Absolutely.
But the fact that it comes into play, fine. We basically put it in your library. And mind you, it can do our card too, which is beneficial as well to save a creature. Mm-hmm. Put it on top. But the fact that, at instant speed, flash, it has flying, just like all the spirits do, and it's a 3/3. Mm-hmm. So the only drawback with this card, realistically, is that it's an elemental incarnation, not a spirit. If this was a spirit, all of us would be like, great job, Wizards, we love you. You know what I mean? We'd be sending them flowers.
You're probably right. I mean, it's 4 mana, which is a little hefty, but you're right. Like, we can cast it for 4, or if we're in a pinch, like someone's playing a Titan with Cavern of Souls, and we just we'll just stall. Let's just deal with that next turn. We can just play this and put it back on top.
Now, the only part that I 100% agree with you, and you and I have discussed this before the show, is the card disadvantage. Like, hands down, this is something that Spirits has a huge problem with. Huge problem. That's why the S%, no, you'll keep on hearing me say this, should have been a Spirit. I wish it was a Spirit. This is a thing that I'm praying that Watsy's listening and makes this a damn Spirit or gives us something comparable or equal to so we can use, because we need that card advantage, because otherwise than that, we're just twiddling our thumbs nearly when we should be claiming victory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we don't really have any. I mean, like, our card advantage comes from tempo. It's like we don't have any direct draw. Like Apparition exiles one of their creatures and we get a body, or Quell some, we get a body. Rattle Chains counters a spell essentially, and we get a creature from it. So like we have ways to kind of like generate that, but not. We don't have any like flat out like let's draw a card, let's draw 2 cards, let's scry. I'd even take a scry at this point. We have no ways. We just at the mercy of our draws, and we have no way to fix that.
No, it's until Watsy realizes maybe he'll come out in Modern Horizons 3. Who knows?
Perhaps.
Hopefully we'll end up getting the Azorius Horizon Land that we've been desperately wanting and needing.
No, I'm so frustrated. I wanted that card. I wanted that to be in Modern Horizons too. I was like, why didn't you print that?
They were like, fetch lands.
So nice.
We're going to give you enemy fetch lands. I'm like, screw the enemy fetch lands. Screw the hell out. I don't need no enemy fetch lands. What are you talking? Get out of here with that mess. Give me the Horizon lands. My friends are like, shut up, Dwight. Shut the hell up. What are you talking about? You're a freaking moron.
Finish the Horizon cycle. I know.
Yeah,
maybe they'll do it this year in some other random set. Hopefully.
Lottie, if you're hearing, I'm just saying, Kevin Varhey, Rosewater, hello. Just saying, we got a large spirit base here listening.
It creates a little bit of an imbalance, because like a deck like Boros Burn has the red-white land, so it's perfect for their mana. They can sack it to draw. We don't have that. We have to play like Waterlogged Grove or Horizon Canopy, and sometimes that can be awkward. We don't have the right colors.
Yeah, turn 1, they can play their Ragavan, and turn 2, they can, fetch for whatever, search, draw a card with Ragavan, use the treasure that they used for whatever. Come on, man. Not fair. Not fair. I call shenanigans.
Absolutely.
Now, since you were there any cards? Let me ask you. Were there any other cards that you see that would actually benefit the Spirit Tribe, the all flavors?
So, in terms of Modern Horizons 2, not necessarily. I could be forgetting one or two, but not necessarily. The thing I think is interesting is there are some old spirits who've kind of been waiting in the wind, so to speak, that are looking better now. One of them is Eidolon of Rhetoric, which says each player can't cast more than one spell each turn. 3-mana card, 1/4, enchantment creature spirit.
Yep.
This card was already seeing a little bit of play, and I was testing it in Bant Spirits and even Azorius against Prowess because it basically shuts them down entirely. Like, you can't play Stormwind now if you haven't had one out already because you can't Manamorphose into it. You can't flashback a Lava Dart. If you Manamorphose, that's all you can do that turn. It slows them down tremendously. It's also good right now against decks like Living End because they play their Shardless Agent. Well, you see your Living End, you can't even cast it. You already used up your one spell. So this card has a lot of potential to see a comeback. A couple other spirits that are good right now is Kira, the Great Glass Spinner, which gives spirits protection.
Amen. You read my mind.
Such a good card because if someone's trying to Solitude us, they have to exile a white card and do it, then do it again, or path, then exile. Like, that's good. And when I played my last league, I ran into a lot of Jund. Very good against Jund. And the last one, which is quite a throwback, and I've never played with this card. Some of the other Discord mods have, like the Rift, is Kataki War's Wage.
Yeah. Yep.
It is a 2/1, 2-mana spirit, and it says all artifacts have at the beginning of your upkeep, sacrifice this artifact unless you pay 1. Yep. So against Hardened Scales, kind of screws them over.
Affinity.
Against Affinity, they can't do much. Even against these food gok decks, if they have all these food artifact tokens, you have to sacrifice them. So this card's kind of a meta call, and I don't think this has seen play since Mox Opal was banned.
Right.
When Affinity fell off, but this card is really cool, and really a very specific meta call, but in the right meta, you play this turn 2, and your opponent can't play Magic anymore. It's over for them.
Yep.
It's like,
I 100%. The Eidolon you surprised me on because I was like, really? The Kataki, I was like, because you and I talked about this, like old spirits coming back. I'm like, which ones? The Eidolon, you really surprised me. The Kataki, you surprised me on. The Kira, I had a feeling because the way I look at it is you have Svelun of the Sky and Sea, okay, the Merfolk god.
Yep.
It's just like it in a sense, and I'll put a spin on it. It's a Kira spin, okay?
It is.
Because the only difference is, I don't get to draw a card, okay, when it attacks. Other than that, basically...
Very similar, yeah. They're very good at protecting the board.
Well, they have to pay themselves. 1. They have to pay 1. No, your spell is countered. It doesn't matter if you pay 1. It's countered.
They're each good in different situations, right? Like if someone plays Supreme Verdict, Svelun is better because everything else dies, but Svelun survives. Then it can attack the next turn because it's indestructible. But if someone's just playing spot removal, like Fatal Push, Lightning Bolt, Path to Exile, the new Prismatic Ending, like you have to waste one of your cards. So I've had games where it's like someone's like, all right, I'll Fatal Push like your Kira, now I'm gonna lightning bolt it. Flash and Reality give a hexproof, and it's just like, oh my god, like how I can't kill these spirits, impossible.
And that's what I love about spirits.
Absolutely, best trap against removal.
Amen. They know how to protect their own.
Mm-hmm.
So let me ask you, since you played the Modern Challenge last Saturday, how do you think the Modern meta will shake out?
There's a lot of things. I thought about this question a lot, and I think it's going to revolve around Ursa Saga in some way, shape, or form. I think Ursa Saga, probably the most powerful card for Modern Horizons 2, and any deck that can take advantage of it will be in a good place. Like Titan, I was checking, is the top deck of the meta right now, in the past week at least, and they're playing 4 copies of Ursa Saga because even if they don't have their amulet, they tutor into play turn 3, and then whatever lands they have, that come in tapped and then untap and then bounce a land, all that, they can just go off. So they're kind of guaranteed to hit like a turn 3, turn 4 Titan every game. Like I said, Affinity can take advantage of that card, Hardened Scales, even the Food Gak decks with Asmerando. I was saying that right? And even the shorter.
Yes, Asmerando.
Asmerando. That can take advantage of it. So I think we're going to see decks revolve around that. I think Asmo Food will be good. I think Titan will be good. Scales. I think Urza might come back in a big way. And no one's really built a deck around Urza yet, the Lord High Artificer from Modern Horizons 1, but I think if someone likes Urza, they could find a shell.
Allegedly.
Urza Saga,
Allegedly Lantern Control may be coming back.
Oh boy.
I'm just throwing that out there. I've heard
stories, yeah.
I've heard unicorns. The unicorn is that Lantern Control, it's out there. And it's magically walking through the forest, and we see glimpses, and then it disappears. Then there's a glimpse again, and that unicorn disappears.
Exactly. So, that's why we have Kataki Wars Wage now. All these artifact decks, we're like, no.
Thank you, sweet baby
your
Jesus.
Artifacts. I don't want to deal with this. So, yeah, I mean, that's I think, a starting point. I don't know how good the Grief decks are going to be with Solitude and Grief. I think certain decks got upgrades, like Merfolk. I got the obvious upgrades. Azorius Control now has Solitude and Prismatic Ending. They don't have to play with Path if they don't want to. And then just other random decks, like Rakdos Shadow got Dragon's Rage Channeler. Like you said, Boros Prowess got that. I think a lot of cards got a boost. And part of the reason I like Modern Horizons 2 is most of the decks that got a boost, like Affinity, Hardened Scales, Merfolk, were decks that were struggling.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, kind of looking over, like you said, you're in your Mercedes and you see this guy is driving his Toyota Corolla, like, 1997, and now he's driving, like, a 2018, Prius, and you're like, yeah, good for him. Like, like, so, not to be too jealous. Like, I'm a little jealous, but at the same time, like I said before, Innistrad is this fall.
Yeah.
Coincidentally, around Halloween.
We may end up getting something in Dungeons and Dragons. Who knows? Anything's possible.
Yeah,
anything's possible.
Absolutely.
But you're right. I love the fact that Innistrad is during that Halloween time. That's great. I love it.
It's perfect flavor. I know.
I love Halloween.
Werewolves, vampires, and spirits. Oh my.
Oh well. We got to be honest with the audience. There's all we know is vampires and werewolves. That's all we know yet. We know, in that world there are spirits. Let's pray that WotC does better than the spirits that we saw in Kaldheim and then Strixhaven. Just saying, just hopefully better.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I did see there was a someone asked Mark Rosewater like what we would expect in Innistrad, and he said yes, they're focused around werewolves and vampires, but there will be spirits, there will be humans.
Yes.
Like there will be zombies, and he confirmed that. So
hold on. Before you continue, there is a sound effect that I have on this machine that I need to play. That's for Mr. Rosewater for saying there's spirits in that set. Thank you, Mr. Rosewater.
Perfect.
Because if not, I swear to God, I'm gonna keep I gotta find that thing, that tweet that he said, and just add this link to it. And tell them how all our spirit players feel. Exactly. It's a joke.
Yep. Absolutely. 100%. Yeah, I mean, I'm happy. The thing is, now will we get playable spirits? That's the next question, right? Or will we get something like we got in Modern Horizons 2? Spirit that gives other spirits flying.
Well, yeah, what I was going to ask you, honestly, the next question is like, how do you think the spirits will feel? How do you think spirits in this current meta is going to feel like? Like, where do you see spirits? Are we flying high, or are we just still laying in our graves after this the shake?
Yeah, I love that. I think we're probably flying high, maybe medium-ish. I mean, if you look at the meta before Modern Horizons 2, Prowess was the most popular deck, which wasn't good for us. Like we can play Chalice of the Void, yes. We can play Path to Exile, and we can apparition some of their threats, but Prowess is good against us because they just kill everything we have. They have so many removal spells to a point where even though we're so good against removal, we can struggle against them. Lavadar kills almost all our creatures, or at least half of them. Now we're seeing decks that are a little more combo-centric, like Living End. This Asmo Food deck is sort of like a combo deck. And I think we're good against combo decks because we have Queller to interact, we have Wander to counter spells, we have Apparition to disrupt. So against the combo part of the meta, we'll be in a good spot. Against the attrition stuff, like Grief, Ephemerate, Jund, it's medium. It's not bad per se, but sometimes they just take everything from our hand, kill everything on our field, and we're just like, oh, well, that's it, I guess. Like hopefully they draw Collected Company, or I guess that's it. But that's why we have Kira, that's why we have Selfless, that's why we have Rattle Chains. We have some ways to deal with that.
Well, let me ask you, because I'm going to be humble and honest, okay? And
Sure.
I can't lie to the audience. I love you all. You're all my friends, and I want to be sincere with you. And,
absolutely.
I'm an Azorius guy. Always have been, always will. And it took me a lot, honestly, a lot to get into Bant. And once I tried Bant, I'm like, holy crap. What the hell was I thinking? Why wasn't I playing Bant sooner? And then I tried the snow build, the mono blue. And I'm like, holy crap, why wasn't I not playing this too? It's like, I guess I get stuck in my lane where I don't, not that I don't like challenge, I change. I love change. But it's just like I get stuck in my lane and I'm like, why am I being stupid? In Spanish we say pendejo. So why am I being pendejo? So let me ask you, as much as I love Azorius, as much as I'm learning Mono Blue Snow and really enjoying Bant, which flavor of spirits do you think is going to stand out? I see Dr. Queller out there with the Bant. He's really enjoying this Bant build. But
he is, and it's hard to say, I've thought about this, and I think Bant's probably better because Coco is obviously good if someone's trying to 1-for-1 us, right? We can just play 2 creatures and then we start to get card advantage again. That is kind of card advantage Coco is. Well, it is directly, just puts creatures in the field. And then against combo decks, having a turn 2 Queller is real good. If someone tries to cast something, like if someone's not casting Esmeralda turn 1 because they don't have access to it, and they're able to play their Underworld Cookbook and then cast it turn 2 and they draw into it or something, quelling it's really good, shuts down most of their game plan.
Yep.
Or quelling an Underworld Cookbook. So I think Bant's probably better, but in some ways, in a weird way, I've had more success with Azorius, even versus like John, and I think it's because I've got 2 Moorland Haunts in my list, and maybe because I'm just more used to it. It might be a practice thing. I'm like you, I'm an Azorius guy. I generally play Azorius, and I think maybe being a little bit out of practice with Bant, I tend to do better with Azorius. I took Azorius through the challenge, but I'm not sure. It's hard to say. In Mono Blue Snow, I don't know. I haven't played the deck. I imagine it is a little more counterspell heavy. It can play counterspell now very well, which
extremely
the other
well.
I have a hard time playing counterspell, believe it or not. You'd think a predominantly blue deck would be able to play it, but we have cards like Cavern of Souls. We have cards like Moorland Haunt. We have basic Plains.
What sounds weird is that double blue. It sounds weird to say that because we have the double white with Skyclave apparition, but it's that double blue that just really holds us back. And it's like, I'm a person who started playing 20 plus years ago when Counterspell wasn't everything. And I'm thinking, I'm like, when I heard this and I'm like, yeah, counterspell's back in Nixon, I'm like, but it's going to suck in spirits. No.
It's like, I mean, you can play it. I think Andre Cigar changed the mana base around.
Oh, he did.
wasn't
He
playing
changed it a
Cavern
lot.
and tried like a different counterspell build, but you have to really. One of the hard things is if you think about this, if you want to cast Apparition, which is double white, and Counterspell, which is double blue, like you need to have a lot of like shock lands or lands that do blue and white. Trying to do both is pretty difficult.
Yep.
Whereas like Kira, Kira's double blue, yeah, but we have Cavernous Souls.
Exactly.
Like, Cavernous Souls can cast Kira, I can't cast Counterspell, so
you have Aether Vial. Those two things come in handy. We don't have an Aether Vial for counterspells or land.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, yeah, mono blue spirits could take advantage of counterspell. It could probably take the best advantage of suspend. But then you lose stuff like Queller and Apparition and Draxco Captain. It's probably more low to the ground. So I don't know. I mean, it could be good. I think Bant will probably be the best. But sometimes one of the issues with Bant is you dud out. Like, you have a hand where it's like Vial, Noble Hierarch, and a couple spirits, and you just draw another Vial, then another Noble Hierarch, then another Vial, and then you cast Coco, and you're like, all right, well, what's Coco? Oh, it's all lands. Oh, well, that's not good. Coco did nothing. So, like, you run into some consistency issues sometimes. Like, Coco feels so good when you're hitting, like, double Drogskull Captain, and you have a Hexproof Army or Apparition, but then you have times where you're like, Coco, and it's just like, oh, there's just a Noble Hierarch on top and 5 lands? Like, all right. Like, that's bad, so it's kind of that's one of the things I get frustrated with, man, when I use Coco and I completely whiff, or I hit like a Vial and a Noble Hierarch and nothing else. It feels really bad.
I hear you. I definitely hear you. Now, with this being said, we're near the end of the show. I know people are sad. They're disappointed. I love our discussions. Really, it's very thorough, very interactive, very knowledgeable. Love interviews like this.
I appreciate that. Yeah, absolutely. I love being on here and talking about it.
We got to do this more often.
Absolutely.
If I could do every set with you, I would love that. So let me ask you the next question I have. Modern Horizons 1 and 2 came out, and they've been very good sets. Let's say 1 was better for spirits, 2 really wasn't, has some stuff we can use and stuff that we can bring back. If there was a Modern Horizons 3, what would you like to see?
Ooh, it's a loaded question. Well, if we're talking reprints from Legacy, I would like to see Recruiter of the Guard. It's not a card that would probably see play in spirits, but it would see a lot of play in Death and Taxes, which is a deck I play secondary to spirits. So I would love to see that. Because you could, yeah, I know. Because you can tutor anything in the deck. We got Imperial Recruiter, but
I'm sorry. I'm just pretending to be a spirit. Boo.
Yeah, that's all it is. Yeah, you're just sounding like spirits. You're not booing me. Then the other card, I mean, a new spirit would be nice. Some type of really powerful low mana spirit. Like, I don't want a 3-drop. We already have Queller, Drogskull Captain, Apparition. We've got a lot of those. I would say, like, I think we talked about this before the show, a 2-mana spirit with flash, flying, when it enters the battlefield, draw a card. That would be awesome. Like a Silvergill Adept for spirits. Maybe reveal a spirit you have in your hand to your opponent, then you can flash it in, draw a card. So that keeps the gas going. That would be a fantastic card. I would say a 1-mana spirit, like you mentioned Esper Sentinel. If Esper Sentinel had flying and was a spirit, or even if it was just a spirit, that would have been great.
Exactly.
Potentially.
I mean, we have Skyclave Apparition. Skyclave Apparition doesn't fly. I'm okay with another that has that ability where we draw, in all day, hands down. It pays for itself.
Yep, exactly. So, like, I think draw power would be good. I think a different avenue of disruption would be interesting, like countering an activated ability of a creature or a planeswalker. And you have to be careful with that, because if it could just counter any activated ability, you could have Vial on 1, your opponent fetches, flash in a spirit and sack it. Yeah, you lose your fetch. You don't get to fetch anything. So I'd be like,
that'd be
kind of busted.
That would be funny as hell.
Yeah,
Oh,
that would
yep.
be like, hey, you can't fetch against spirits now. We can stifle your fetch lands.
That would be funny
Um,
as hell.
that would be interesting. Yeah. And then other stuff, just like in a really aggressive one drop. Like if we had another like wander type of spirit that got +1/+1 every time you played another spirit, and if that's all it did, if it was like champion of the parish, that would be very strong. Um,
Ooh.
like, and it kept the counters, even
Yeah.
if it didn't disrupt and it flew. So I'm looking to Innistrad, even more than Modern Horizons 3. Like I think one of the Innistrad sets, we got Queller, we got Selfless Spirit, we got Rattle Chains, we got Wander. Like I think Selfless Spirit wasn't in the set, but it was Rattle Chains, Wander, and Queller all in one
Eldritch
set,
Moon.
which are staple.
That was the Eldritch Moon set.
Yes, Eldritch Moon. So and that was an Innistrad's set,
Yes,
correct?
it was still in the
Yeah.
Innistrad. Like it was that weird. It was Innistrad, but it was still Eldrazi's coming from the world of Zendikar over. It's like you didn't have to do like
I see.
you didn't have to do the Batman Superman crossover. But,
Yep, kind of like
it's okay.
Bloodborne, like the whole Eldrazi in the background, but there's ghosts and zombies and stuff. Yeah, like if we get some really good aggressive one drops or disruptive 1 or 2 mana spirits, I mean, honestly, even if we got a Lord, another Lord for 2 mana, that could
Preach,
be
preach.
that could be
I had,
interesting.
let me just tell you, hands down. I've been thinking for the last 3 months. It's like Merfolk got tons of lords. They're like lords galore. Okay, they could make just a set of just pure lords and probably kick ass, and they don't. Okay, spirits. We only have 2 freaking lords, and then we have
I
to
know.
put Phantasmal Image, which is like okay, fine, we'll put it in there, but it's gonna die. I know. We both know.
Yeah, yep.
It's we need a lord. We need card draw. And not just like, oh, here's a card draw to instant or sorcery. No. Or artifact or Spirit Planeswalker would be interesting. Just thought that just hit my head.
That'd be interesting.
It would
I don't
be
know how I would hash out, but it depends how powerful it was. I
Well, let's pick
suppose.
this. If the Grist, the Hunger Tide, okay,
Mhm.
is an insect. It's a bug. Okay, and it had a spark. Okay. There's no excuse why we can't have a Spirit Planeswalker.
Very interesting.
Think of it. Like,
I mean, like something like Teferi as a Spirit Planeswalker that would work with Queller, so they wouldn't get their cards back.
yes.
That would be dirty.
I'd be okay with that. Like you heard me say the quarters attendant where we destroy non-basic land. Need that.
Mhm.
We need. I'm not saying land destruction, but like to get rid of Ursa Saga. We need a card like that to get rid. We need a spirit to do that. We need a card for card drawing. We need a lord, and hands down, we need that Horizon land, that Azorius Horizon land.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like,
No, it would be nice if in Innistrad they printed the other Horizon lands. I don't know if they would, but something like finish that cycle, give us a new really good 1 mana spirit, give us a new 2 mana lord. Like these days I find that I've thought about like what would I replace? Like obviously Queller, Drogskull, Apparition are staples. Supreme Phantom is a staple. Mausoleum Wander is a staple. I
Spectral
think
Sailor.
Rattle Chains is a staple.
Spectral Sailor's gone. Spectral Sailor's gone. Bye.
Yeah, I know. I was getting around to that. Yeah, Sailor would be gone in a heartbeat. He's the weakest card in the deck. Card. I'm not gonna say this card's bad. Selfless Spirit. It's definitely really good in certain situations.
Yep.
But when people aren't playing a lot of sweepers, and I feel like I see more point removal these days, it's not quite as good. You know.
You read my mind. I was gonna go there next because I'm thinking like Rattle Chains. You can't give out Rattle Chains. That gives creatures hexproof and flash. No. You can't give up Supreme Phantom because it's a Lord. That's stupid. You're going against yourself. The 3 mana Lords, you can't get rid of any of those. Not a damn one. Even if they made another Lord, you're going to give up Drug School Captain? You're a moron.
Do that. Yeah, because he gives hexproof. I would never. And I could see in some world where people replace Drug School Captain with a 2 mana Lord, and they're like, well, it's cheaper. But I love Drug School Captain too
No,
much.
I would never, hands down, ever. Did I say the word ever? Because I'll tell you, I wouldn't. Gives all your creatures hexproof? Like that's.
I know.
Like
so
we
good.
see the power that Boggles gets because the fact
I
that we have a flying crew that just flies over your walls and everything. No, get out of here. No. Drive School Captain is a permanent forever.
Yes. And you know what? And then a card that I've been impressed with that I've thought was a flex spot, but I'm starting to wonder if it is Shacklegeist.
Amen.
I I
Amen.
love that
Amen.
card. It's
Amen.
what because I've kept track, not on paper or anything, but I've won a lot of games because of Shacklegeist. A lot of games, like tapping down Death Shadows and Amulet. Well, Titans. I had a game where they got out a Titan and an Apparition through Dryad, and they just couldn't attack with a Titan. Every turn, just keep tapping it until I can kill them.
And
Chipping away.
it's funny. I poo-pooed the crap out of that card when I first saw it. I thought the other spirit, the Pilferer,
Would be better. Yep.
I thought the Pilferer was way better. And I'm like, why is everybody in next to it? I'm like, okay, fine, I'll give it a shot. And I'm like, holy crap, this is so much even better than Noblegast Herald. And I love Noblegast Herald.
Me too. Yeah, I thought it was I was like, well, it's a worse version of Nubelgas, but at least it's 2 mana. Because I was thinking, we don't have to have 2 spirits. That's so much. We can't even attack. But it doesn't end up being that way. You can attack with 1, tap 2, or I've had a lot of games where I have Shellgeist and Wander out, play a Supreme Phantom, play a Selfless Spirit, attack for 4, I think it's 7 damage, and the next turn I have Supreme Phantom and Shacklegeist, who I played during my turn, tap one of their creatures.
My favorite of all time is that I had Shacklegeist on the board. The guy had Prime Time, okay, on the board, and he's like, oh well, I'm going to attack, and I'm like, oh, before you declare your attack phase, I have a spirit or a creature in my graveyard. I'll do the Moorland Haunt. I have the creature 1/1. I tap my Shacklegeist and the spirit. We'll tap your Prime Time, and guess what? He's sitting there watching TV. No,
Exactly. Yep.
it's like that. That's the power of Shacklegeist. I was like, are you kidding me? It's so stupid good.
If nothing else, and this is what I kind of reveled this moment when I was playing the challenge, and I lost my chance at top 8 because of the Ursa Saga hammer player who put Pithing Needle on Shacklegeist. I'm like, if you're Pithing Needling my Shacklegeist, that says to me, this card's dangerous. You can't win against this card. You got to think about it sometimes. When people are moving a certain creature, on the spot, or Pithing Needling it, or discarding it, it's that's a threat. If someone thought you're going to discard Spectral Sailor, no.
Mm-mm.
They're like, I don't care.
You're silly. You're absolute silly if you do some shenanigans like that.
Yep, absolutely. So we'll see what Innistrad has to bring, but I'm hopeful. The other tribes can enjoy their time in the sun, but we will be coming back from the grave.
Amen, brother. Well, before we let you go, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go shout out real quick to Magnolia Gaming Hoboken. You can find them at Facebook at Magnolia Gaming Hoboken. Just search them on the search bar, and then magnoliagaming.com. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, they just opened Tuesday. They haven't even had a grand opening yet. So it's a soft opening. They're doing Modern Horizons 2 pre-releases right now. They're doing other things. You may want to check them out. Remember, they focus on trading card games, board games, D&D. They have a variety of products in the store, so check it out. If they're actually setting their schedule for weekly and monthly events, let them know what you want to do over there. If you're in that Hoboken area or within, let's say, a 10, 15-mile radius, go check them out. It's a moral imperative. And if you like that game, Flesh and Blood, which is really interesting, you can play that there, ladies and gentlemen. Just saying. Just humbly saying that. And when you're there, listen, tell the guy that runs this place, Mike, that MTG Ectoplasm sent you, and even DrKatz. All right? So, DrKatz, let me ask you. It's come to the end of the show. Is there anything you want to self-promote and let the world know besides that you came 18th place in a modern challenge where you got to see a whole bunch of new cards and you kicked ass? Anything else you want to share?
Thank you. But yeah, so I have a Twitter. My Twitter is DrKatz11, so DrKatz11. I occasionally post some spirits lists on there. I'm going to try to be doing more challenges in the future. If I make top 8 or even win a challenge, I'll certainly put the list I used on there. Same with league results. I'm also potentially going to be starting streaming in the near future, and my Twitch handle is DrKatz11 as well, but with a Roman numeral 11. So DrKatz XI.
XI.
For those of you who don't know Roman numerals.
Yes, they were very popular with the Romans back in the day. Just saying.
Absolutely. So those are where you can find me in the Spirits Discord. I'm one of the mods there. We have a lot of good discussion there about the current meta, what we can do to counter it. We talk about Dr. Queller's list. We talk about challenges. Easiest way to find it is you can go on Reddit and search for the MTG Spirits Reddit, and right in the top there's a link to the Discord.
I hope you guys talk nice about me in there too. I'm just saying.
Talk very nicely.
Okay, just making sure. Just making sure.
Absolutely.
I want no rivalries. Yeah, I'm a rivalry unto my own self. And that made nonsense.
I think you're a member, right?
Yes, I'm out.
Right?
I am a member of both the Reddit and and the Discord group. I wish there was more groups with spirits because I joined them on Facebook. They have a New Jersey. Well, they have the New Jersey, then they have the Modern Pioneer, and then there's a Pioneer. And I'm wondering, like, why is there no Legacy? There are Legacy players out there. There was a young man. You're gonna laugh at the name, Testacular. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
He came in first place back in April. Had him on the show with his friend Ben. And let me just tell you, great interview. But it's like, there are spirit players in every format, and we kick ass. It's a unique tribe, and we're a brotherhood, we're a sisterhood, we're a family. And not only that, we're friends.
100%.
All right, DrKatz, anything else you want to share with us?
I think that's it.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I got to make sure I'm ready to go. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening to the show. Remember, whatever streaming service you're using, hit that like, follow, or subscribe. Remember, I'm not charging you a penny for the show. I bring on guests all the time because they want to share with you their knowledge. And you know what? I enjoy having them on, just like DrKatz. So, with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I wish you a good day. Make your opponent say boo sheet. And remember one thing. Support your LGSs. All right? Have a good one, ladies and gentlemen.